Hi, Matt. Welcome.
We can share with them.
For sure.
Oh,
For
Matt's
sure.
here.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
Hey. Hey, Matt. Congratulations. I was able to join your graduation for a bit. Nice ceremony.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Wonderful
Absolutely.
situation for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So in the spirit of keeping up time, let's get started. And folks, I am recording this, just FYI, because a lot of students did email us and say, hey, we're not able to join for whatever reason. Can you please send us a recording? We said, okay, it's reasonable to record this. So thank you for joining us, and we'll let in students as and when they come. But we briefly wanted to also meet Rachel. I don't think many of you have met Rachel Fowler, who's our new program specialist. And of course, you know both of us, myself and Dr. Carson. We are known quantities to all of you. But Rachel, do you want to say a quick word?
Oh, a quick word. Glad to be of help to anybody that has any questions. And please, thank you for being patient with me as I learn myself. But I'm excited about helping and being in the department.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for being here also tonight. So folks, the objective of this exercise meeting for 30 minutes is very simple. We are putting in place, or we have put in place rather, the capstone requirement, which is the new exit requirement, which replaces the comprehensive exam, right? So if you have joined from fall 2020 onwards, you cannot take the comprehensive exam, right? So you will have only two options. You will have the option of the thesis or the capstone, right? So I just want to remind everyone of this important distinction. If you have joined, for instance, in summer or spring of 2020, that's okay. You can still take the comprehensive exam, right? So there are some of you who may be in that category. For those of you who are watching this recording, Lorna, did you want to say something?
I was just going to ask if anybody in this group is planning to take the comprehensive exam.
Matthew.
Anna or Stephanie or Matt. Matt, are you going to be taking it in the spring of 2021?
That's what I came to talk about. But
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
I mean, I would like to. Yeah.
Sure, Matt. Yeah, you can. I think you joined earlier.
And
so, yeah.
the point is, it's possibly the last time we'll be offering it. So what we want to do is encourage you, if that was something that you were hoping to do. Will you have taken all 5 of your core classes by spring?
That's the thing I haven't. I still need to take admin law, but I was gonna see if I could try to do both.
You can. You can
Yeah.
do both. Mhm.
Yeah. So if I could do both, then I really would like to, because then I only need
can.
one more elective after it.
And then you can still graduate in spring, because you can graduate, you can walk with one class holding over till summer, and then you can finish that. You'll get your diploma posted in August.
Perfect.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
So that being the case, I think some of you might be wondering, especially those of you who've just joined or are incoming in spring or fall, please note that you can only graduate, as in your exit requirement can only be thesis or capstone. So you will not have the comprehensive exam option. And both of these are excellent options. We are developing new connections to do capstones. And this meeting is also just to describe what the distinction between the thesis and the capstone is, and to tell you the benefits of what a capstone project is. So I'll talk briefly about the most recent capstone that was done by one of our students, Gregory Safian, who is graduating this coming term. So Greg worked with the city of Pasadena to help them understand the challenges to the restaurant industry, given COVID and everything that's going on. So here is the report I just want to show you briefly. It's an excellent project he did over slightly more than 11 weeks. So the idea is that we will identify for you an organization, either a government agency or a nonprofit organization, and identify a real problem that they're facing. And you as a student will work with other students in group size can be between 3 to 5, depending on the student interest. and who's available to do the capstone. And you will consult, it's almost like a consulting project. So you'll consult with the city or the organization, and there will be a faculty advisor. It could be either Dr. Carson, myself, or any of the adjunct faculty, depending on their expertise. We can assign the faculty to you depending on the project itself, and you will work with them closely, and they will mentor you through this process, guide you through it. You will have meetings with the client, which is the nonprofit or the government agency who you work with, and you will do a good literature review, identify the problem, collect data, and do data analysis and propose recommendations, so policy recommendations. So this is the outline of what your capstone will look like. And at the end of it, you will have a report like this. This is about 38 pages long, nicely written. So it's a product that you can showcase in your job interviews or even put it on your CV. So the idea being that you're dealing with a real problem, dealing with real data, and helping analyze and offering solutions. And the benefits are mutual. The city or the NGO gains through your expertise, through your in-depth examination of a problem, and you gain in terms of actual networking with people here in an organization, or in many cases, it could open other doors, right, in terms of research or even employment potentially. So that's one option. And the thesis is the other option, which I think Dr. Carson has more experience guiding students. She's also worked with them. So do you want to add something to that, Nora?
Sure. The thesis option is really a structured dissertation. So it's modeled on the traditional academic dissertation taken on by a master's candidate or a doctoral candidate. It's a 5-chapter, very formatted piece of body of research. The topic could be something that's really happening, but it's more broad, literature-based, looking at what else has been done with the project, analyzing potential responses that have been proposed. Sometimes there is data collected, similar to the capstone, but it's going to have a different look and feel. Whereas what you see here is a thesis. So you see it looks very, very academic. It has an abstract, which instead of an executive summary, which the capstone has. And then the table of contents, again, is very, very formulaic. You have an introduction, you have a literature review, you have a methodology section describing if you're doing quantitative or qualitative research. Then you have a data analysis in which you analyze your data, and then you have conclusions. So they're similar, they're kind of cousins, but I would say that the thesis option is more academic. It's more for people who might perhaps be going on to get a doctorate at some point in time and want to demonstrate their academic skills and prowess, whereas the capstone itself is a very tangible applied product that is very useful immediately for people who are demonstrating their competency and putting the MPPA degree to work. So the dissertation, the thesis is slightly longer. Most of the dissertations that I've supervised have ended up being, somewhere between 50, 80, 100 pages. They get quite lengthy, and they can take up to a year because there really is a lot. It's a very lengthy process. The capstone is designed to take as short as 11 weeks. It could go perhaps longer depending on the research project. But the dissertation, I really very rarely will suggest to somebody who's got to graduate 11 weeks after they start, because it would be very painful to try to put that through that quickly. When I was in the program, I did the thesis option. It took me a year, and I really wished I had even had more time, just because you get so in depth in your research, and you kind of, as you're doing your research, your topic grows, and then it has to shrink back down so that you can write about it again. And it's a wonderful process. I have great feelings about the thesis, and I love working with students to do it, but it really isn't for everybody. So the capstone is something that I think is achievable, and it is so wonderful to have on your CV and to be able to demonstrate your competency. So as Dr. Khan said, there's really a choice here for you based on your personal circumstances and your graduation deadline.
Yeah, and also I want to add the other key distinction between a thesis and a capstone is A thesis is an individual project, so
Oh,
you're
yes, of
working on it
course. Of
individually.
course.
Capstone is a group project, so you can be anywhere between 3 to 5 people, right?
Absolutely.
Could be even 2 people if it works out that way. We could make that exception, but ideally we want groups of between 3 to 5 people in a capstone project. So you can divide and conquer, right? So more people with diverse skills, you can tackle different parts of the problem and then easily finish the capstone in the required time, assuming everything goes well. And also it can be a good group learning exercise for you.
And it really mirrors the real world, because often in the real world, that's how projects get done, is in groups. And it's very important to be able to demonstrate that you have the ability to do that, and also to have the experience of it, so that you understand there can be little hiccups and you have to sort them out. And at the end of the day, you all have to feel good about the product, right? So sometimes there's differences of opinion how it should look. Those things have to be sorted out before the end of the project. But that's a really good skill set to have, and it's something that you'd use for the rest of your life.
Yeah, thank you. And Ahmad, Munira, welcome. You missed a few minutes, but we are recording the call, and we'll send out the recording to everyone so you can watch the first few minutes that you missed. And just to add on to what has been discussed, a few basics for those who are starting the program, like Munira and Ahmad, you've taken a few classes. But one of the things you have to remember before taking the capstone or the thesis, we would like you to have finished all your core classes, right? The 5 core classes which are required for the program: PA theory, research methods, law and public policy, implementation, and ethics. So as I've said to many of you earlier, please prioritize those 5 classes, take them as early as you can in the program, so you don't have to worry about taking them, because there is no way of getting exemption from these. Every student has to go through these 5 classes. So the earlier you take them, the better. And especially research methods and PA theory, those are sort of foundational classes. Those set you up for the entire program in some ways. So my recommendation is for you to finish taking the core. The earlier you can, the better. And finish them before you go on to, I mean, we can't let you take the exam or any of the other options unless you finish the core. So please try and prioritize that, work with the 3 of us. We will make sure, sometimes the schedule changes, sometimes the classes get canceled or moved around, but we'll make sure that you finish your core classes at the earliest. And then you can take any elective you choose. That's really your choice and your preference. So we won't really force you to take anything. But that's a very important point I want to reinforce also to the incoming students who probably will watch this in the coming days and weeks. Please prioritize your core classes and talk to us if there's a conflict, either in terms of time or other situations where we can help you figure that out, right? Okay, I think that's quite plenty. The only other important point is we do have a thesis handbook, and I realize some of the students here may want to take the thesis option for various reasons, right? Maybe I'm seeing the Saudi students, some of them, your employer may want you to do a thesis, right? If that is the case, talk to us. We are happy to work with you and help you finish your requirement. Or even if you have a personal preference, you are personally inclined to do a thesis, please talk to us. We are not trying to discourage you by any means, not at all.
No, but we
Yeah.
want you to talk to us as early as possible.
Exactly.
Right? We don't want you to wait until your last term and say, "Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
I'd like to do a thesis now." That's going to be a really difficult challenge. So if you think you're a thesis candidate, please reach out to us as soon as possible.
And another tip for you on that regard is when you're taking the research methods class, try to pick a topic that can become your thesis, because you're working through a lot of issues in your research methods class, which can help you formulate a good thesis. So I am typically the one teaching the research methods class. Talk to me at the earliest. If you're also an incoming student, take that as early as you can, if this is your preference, and we'll make sure that we are able to help you as quickly and as efficiently and as thoroughly as possible for you to succeed in your thesis, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the last point before I forget is we do have a thesis handbook which is available, and all of us have access to it. If you need that, please let us know. I believe it's also on the community page of MyCLU, the MPPA community page. You can download it from there. or email us and we'll be happy to forward that to you. We are working on a similar handbook for capstone, which will guide you through basically the steps of doing a capstone. We'll have that ready hopefully by middle of February or end of February, and we can email that across to you as well. But the most important thing is be on top of, be organized. Be organized about each of these projects. Be communicative and keep us informed. We will offer the capstone twice a year in the winter and summer terms. So those are the 2 terms we are going to offer the capstone. Thesis is open-ended, so you can enroll at any point of time. And for thesis, also another big distinction is you need a committee of at least 2 people, 2 faculty advisors, whereas a capstone you can just have with 1 faculty advisor. So keep that in mind as well as you choose your options. And if in doubt, ask. That should be a policy, right? Don't assume anything. You have 3 people here who are more than willing to answer your questions or take a meeting with you on Zoom. And when we're back in person, happy to meet you in person as well. But for now, I think Zoom meetings will work. And do not hesitate to reach out. I think you should feel free to ask us questions. And we realize, especially for the incoming students, it could be a lot of information. But put this on your radar, in terms of your plan to graduate. You should have this as part of your plan, and you should start thinking about it, even if it's vaguely, think about when you want to take this. And Dr. Carson typically helps students with their planning process, and she can sit down and guide you in terms of how is it best to tackle the situation.
I'm absolutely happy to have a conversation with you at any point. We try to talk about it always when you start. However, at that point, it seems so far away. A lot of times people aren't quite prepared until they've had a class or 2, and then they start to think about it. And that's when you would want to come back and say, okay, now I'm ready to talk. Let's talk again. And we will also reach out to you. We'll be working on ways to strategize how to keep track of you and to make sure that you're on track and make sure that you're ready to go for your graduation date. Because everybody has a different plan. Some people are going to go through in 18 months, some in 2 years, some 2.5, some 3, and that all impacts what your decision would be, right? So the most important thing is to keep in touch with us and let us know your thoughts. And if your thoughts change, that's fine. You can say, oh, I want to do a thesis. And then, before you get started, obviously you can change your mind. You're not locked in. But we do want to know what you're thinking, and we do want to be able to plan for enough projects because we are busy soliciting good capstone ideas for you. And we have some really, really incredibly exciting things that they've just sort of starting to gel with us in the past 3 months, right, Dr. Khan? They've just been coming in really surprising things that I wouldn't even necessarily have thought of myself, that are real things that are happening in our community that would be excellent topics for you.
Absolutely. So with that, I think the last tip before I shut up and let you ask questions, try to make friends in the program. For those of you who are coming into the program, or I know it's hard with COVID and everything, get to know other students is what I'm trying to tell you. Especially if you are working on a capstone, you need to have good group dynamics, right? You should be able to work with others. So try to get to know a few students in the program pretty well, who you can work with, with a good pace, and who understand your style of working, because in a capstone that becomes crucial, right? So with that, I think we will keep quiet for a few minutes. We have 10 minutes left, and let's see if any one of you have any questions. Yeah, Hannah?
I have a question. It's not about the capstone or the thesis. It's about the core courses. It is still in my my account in my CLU. It shows for me that the core courses is 8, not 5.
Okay.
Does that affect me in any way? Because I already finished all the 5 classes and comprehensive.
No, that will not affect you in any way. And I will work with Rochelle to figure out, that's a registrar issue because of when your plan was created, but it will not impact your graduation whatsoever.
Yeah, you're okay, Hannah. You'll be fine. Yeah. But
thank you for asking.
Okay, any other questions, any other thoughts? And also for folks who are somewhat midway through the program or who are starting the program, if you identify an organization that you want to do a capstone with, bring it to us. You know, if you feel, for instance, if you have experience with a nonprofit or with a particular government agency, you know, either you did an internship or you know someone there, and you really want to do your capstone in that area, let us know and we'll try and work with them to build a capstone in that area. Or if you work there yourselves, and if you want to create a capstone for yourself and your colleagues at MPPA program, you know, that's also a possibility. So be creative, be open to ideas, bring them to us. We'll bring you the best of ideas that we have and offer you as many options as we possibly can. But this will be an iterative process, and the three of us will make sure that we are you know, communicating as often and as efficiently as possible to make sure that we have these organizations lined up. But we also would be happy to hear from you. Okay, anything else, folks? Any other thoughts? Stephanie, what are you planning to do?
So I'm still, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I'm in my second term, so I'm just kind of starting to think about it.
Okay.
My schedule might be changing a bit, so I might have to go part-time. So I'm now kind of having to rethink my whole plan that I had originally had.
That's okay. Yeah.
That's okay.
So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm just figuring it out.
Yeah, no worries at all. You know, we can work with you to sort of replan your graduation date and your classes. That's not a problem at all. Life happens, right?
And that's one of the wonderful things about our program is that it's not set in stone and you can be flexible with going faster or slower. So it works. Hannah, did you have a question?
No.
Okay, I thought you raised your hand. Sorry. Munira, what are you thinking?
I'm decided to take capstone.
You're
Okay.
thinking about capstone, okay?
Yeah.
All right, Manira. Yeah, so I think the earlier advice will hold for you. Try and finish as many core, or actually all the 5 core, as early as you can.
Yeah.
And then you can start thinking about the capstone. And also try to find people who you can work with, right?
Okay.
Folks who are similar, like people who started around the time that you did, ideally. So who you can form a group with, or you know, if a group opens up, of course, we'll communicate that to students. You can join them, but try and make an effort to get to know others as well.
Okay.
All right, that's good. I hope this discussion was helpful. How is everyone doing, by the way? We should have asked at the beginning, but doing well? Okay. All right, that's cool. That's cool. And by the way, before we wrap up, we have our spring newsletter coming up in March. So if you have any announcements, personal, professional, or other stuff that you want us to know, that you want us to include in the newsletter, please send them our way. By the way, Matthew graduated with a JD, correct, Matt?
Yes.
Recently. So he's also a lawyer, among other things. So we have a few overachievers amongst us. So please congratulate him personally as well. I think it's a great achievement. And I was lucky, he invited me to the graduation ceremony, so I was fortunate to attend that for a while. Really, really nice. It's good to see folks do much more than, you know, an MPPA. That's and it adds value both ways, right? From both degrees perspective. So it's really good. Congratulations again, Matt.
Thank you.
Yeah. So folks, any final thoughts from anyone? Any final words you want to get in?
Well, we're always here for you. If you think of something after the meeting closes, please don't hesitate to email us and we'll set up a meeting with you personally to discuss your own situation. We're really glad you came tonight and got to hear firsthand. Other people will hear the recording, but it's nice to actually have you here to talk to and feel that we have an audience. So thank you for coming.
Absolutely. And stay safe, and hopefully we'll all get vaccinated soon and also get to see you in person sooner than later, right? Hey, folks, take care. Bye for now.
Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.